All right, here we are with Graham Riley. Welcome, LinkedIn Insiders. We're here with Graham Riley from Social Business Strategies. He's helping B2B sales teams get good at social selling. I have a lot of really good questions for him. He's extremely knowledgeable, and I'm just going to ask him a few questions here. Graham, why don't you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Okay. Well, you can probably tell from my voice, I'm not a native of the US. Came over as an IT consultant back in 95. And I first got introduced to LinkedIn in early 2005 and have been an advocate ever since. Um, what I noticed about the LinkedIn platform was how readily people would respond to you versus how people would respond if you sent them an email or you tried calling them.
Yeah, so tell me more about that. How did that all start for you, and then where did that take you?
Sure. So in 2008, I was managing a sales team of around 18 people spread over a 6-state region. And back in 2008, we had the housing bubble burst, and we then entered into the recession. And uniformly, my sales team reported that people were no longer responding to emails. They were no longer picking up the phone for cold calling. And there was this general sense that all projects and business activity had been put on hold. However, we still had a business objective to reach for the revenues for our company. So how do we reconcile the fact that prospects and clients weren't responding to us, yet we still had revenue objectives to hit? Now, what I noticed was that people did respond when I reached out on LinkedIn. And so we set about creating the team's LinkedIn profiles to show them as subject matter experts in their field. And we knew that our clients were concerned less about the functions that they were performing. They were more concerned about revenues have stalled for our organization, and how are we going to make the adjustment to the recession in the way that we're doing business? And so we leveraged LinkedIn then to reach out to a different audience. And instead of having a function and feature conversation with this new audience, we reached out to the CFOs and the heads of procurement, and we had a total cost of ownership conversation. So different audience, different mechanism for reaching them, and a different platform than what we traditionally used with emails and calls. And between 2009 and 2012, we took a $74 million business and moved it to $114 million under some pretty heavy economic headwinds.
Wow.
We were able to be successful. And then in 2012, I thought other organizations could use this, because how do we go about gaining somebody's attention to the point where now they would be open to having a meaningful conversation with me about their problems?
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal, man. So let's get really into the meat of the interview here because
Okay.
what from our last conversation, you really said some things that struck me as being super helpful for our audience here.
Right. Right.
And this is really the title of this episode is pulling the right levers
Right.
for your right audience. So why don't you get into that? Tell me a little bit more about how your approach is and the principles you use specifically for LinkedIn.
Absolutely. So 2019, Q1, 2020, the levers that we could pull for sales, conferences, trade shows,
Hmm.
in-person meetings,
Yeah.
booking lunches, all the sorts of things that, as a sales professional, I feel really good when it comes to an in-person conversation. I do really well in relating to people, forming and fostering those relationships, and I get my personal energy when I'm interacting with somebody in, in real life, shall I say. Those levers were then pulled away from me in April, and things changed.
Yeah.
No longer could I go and be comfortable in what I'd traditionally been comfortable with in terms of that human interaction and engagement, because we pick up so much information and visual clues when we're with somebody. We can detect their tone, body language, etc., that helps us craft our message. But what do you do if that option is no longer available to you? I still have revenue objectives to reach. My company still wants to acquire new clients. And so what is open to me? Well, I can certainly phone call, I can certainly email. However, we know that responses to those have declined over the
Yes.
years. And the fact that we now can't meet with people, marketing departments very often are doubling down and sending out even more emails, which is then leading people to introduce some pretty sophisticated filters, because how can you get anything done every day when you get receive 200, 300, 1,000 emails, right?
Yeah, it gets ridiculous.
It gets ridiculous. And so what avenues are open to us? And we know that as a general, this is a general statement, as a society, we have become habitualized to get our social media fix for the day, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc.
Hmm.
And we know that in Microsoft's acquisition of LinkedIn for over $26 billion in cash, they weren't paying for some advanced technology. Anybody who's used the platform knows that it's not the most sophisticated technology out there. So why is it worth that money? It's worth it to Microsoft because it provides access, real-time access to decision makers and influencers in the business community.
Wow.
And so if Microsoft sees that value, and if you were to average it out, it's around $57 per profile that Microsoft paid. So as you now look through that lens at your network, what is your first level connections worth to you? And so how we're going about it, this replacement, I'll call it, I was calling it for the last few months, what's my 2-minute drill in COVID for prospecting? Now it's no longer a 2-minute drill because we're not seeing COVID go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
So what is now the drill that I have to follow in order to be successful in my prospecting and closing efforts? And so LinkedIn, if your audience is there, why not speak to them there? And the idea then is, regardless of your profession, regardless of your position in an organization, how you have completed your profile gives any viewer insights into the profession that you've chosen. It gives insights into your communication style because you're filling out all of the boxes in the profile. And it also gives an indication of your attention to detail. And so the
Mm.
nitty gritty is, are you presenting yourself in a way that is commensurate with who you are in person? Because if
Okay.
you understate or underrepresent yourself, then you're leaving opportunity on the table for somebody to engage with you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So then you had mentioned talking about specifically engaging with your audience. What are some tactics, some practical things that you can do on a regular basis to actually engage with them and make them want to interact with you?
Absolutely. Very often, it's how we view ourselves that determines how we communicate and conduct ourselves. If you're in a business development role, if your focus is, hey, I'm in sales and I'm selling, it's a lot to reconcile between I need to sell because very few people will ever tell you, I like to be sold to.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right? And so where we're seeing the most success is where business development professionals are behaving in a way that is of a resource to your prospective audience. And what I mean by a resource is, as you're laying out your profile, think of what is in the interest of my intended audience versus what was of interest to a potential employer of my services, because very often we tend to use LinkedIn as a mechanism for securing a job.
Hmm.
So if we're in a business development role and I take a look at your profile and I see things like cold calling, excellent negotiator, chairman's club winner 10 years in a row. Now, all of those things are great for your current employer,
Yeah.
but the perception you're forming intended audience is this guy or this gal, they're one heck of a negotiator, right? There isn't a lot of value if you're to your audience in cold calling and the functions of sales.
Hmm.
But there is a lot of value if you're talking about and you have demonstratable expertise in helping organizations improve their financial performance because of your background and experience. And
Okay.
also, how is your background and experience helping improve the customer's or client's experience? Because we know that happier customers tend to spend more money with us. And regardless of the size of organization you're looking to engage with, whether it's an individual entrepreneur or a large organization, everyone is in how are we improving our P&L, the bottom line,
Mm-hmm.
and how are we giving better service to prospective and existing clients.
Okay. Really good. Very good. So, what levers, you're talking specifically about levers to reach people?
Sure.
What are the levers that we should be focusing on right now that will connect with people in a relevant way? Because, like you said before,
Right.
people are less responsive to cold email and cold calling.
Right.
So, what are those levers that we can pull
Right.
that's going to really change things
Right.
in 2020?
Okay. If you consider that LinkedIn is this great networking event in the cloud, we've got 650 people, 650 million people, all have profiles. Now, it's not everyone that you want to engage with, it's
Yeah.
just a certain subset. As you behave in real life, mimic those behaviors when you're looking to engage with your profile. And what I mean by that is in a in-person situation, we don't just go up to somebody and immediately start talking about us in terms of, hey, I'm going to insert myself in the conversation that you might already be having with somebody else,
Yeah.
right? It's seen as rude and impolite. And so if you're looking to engage with your audience, follow the behaviors of somebody who is genuinely curious about what is top of mind for your audience. So, for example, visit their profile, look at what they're sharing, look at what their company page is sharing, look at what their website is saying. Are you seeing on any other news outlets, these are the either issues that are affecting their industry? Are there some recent product announcements that they have? Now, once you've got that sort of background, then follow them, because two things have happened just with those two simple steps. The first thing is LinkedIn will notify uh, your audience that you've taken a look at their profile. Who's viewed my profile? Your profile photograph will appear there. Secondly, LinkedIn will tell the company, did you follow the company page? Thirdly, if you followed them, they get yet another notification that Graham has just followed David. Now, we don't want to um, be too much with a client. What I mean by that is that we're rushing the relationship. And so perhaps a few days later, I might reach out to David with a polite and professional and courteous, would you be open to connecting? I'm not selling myself. I'm sorry, I'm not selling. I am looking to get acceptance that when they take a look at my profile, I am seen as a positive addition to their first level network.
So it's
And
like
then if
getting permission,
I'm getting permission.
asking permission to talk to them.
And when you ask for permission from somebody, the power remains with your audience. One of the things that people start to push back is if they feel that you're giving them a to-do list, right? Um, so after they've accepted, do not send white papers, URLs, link to videos, and asking them for something. They've given you permission to enter their network, and that is it. So the next step, several days later, is perhaps a polite and professional and courteous thank you.
Like a normal
Straightforward.
conversation.
It's a normal conversation. And it fits in with the cadence of how people are using LinkedIn, because a lot of people have got very busy with their jobs. They've got a finite amount of time, and they're busy, when they get home at night. And so with that couple of seconds worth of attention, allow it to be an experience of when I engage with Graham, when I engage with David, there's little to no to-dos that have been given to me. It's easy to say, yes, I accept, or it's easy to acknowledge, with a thumbs up or a smiley face, etc., that somebody's given a polite and professional, courteous thank you. Now, several days after that, or a couple of weeks after that, that knowledge that you picked up about what they're sharing, what they're talking about, go and like some of their content. Go and share back with them some of the content that might have been shared by their company page, and then offer your insights. Anybody who's sharing content is doing it for a reason. And if your audience has shared an announcement about a new product or a new service that they're bringing to market, like it and comment on it. A couple of things will happen. LinkedIn will tell them that LinkedIn will tell them that you've commented on it. If it's very relevant to your network, share it. That's the ultimate compliment, is that you're sharing and leveraging your network to promote their content. What you could also do after a couple of weeks of engagement like this is to then share back with them content from either their company website, their company page, or something that they have shared, and add your insights to them. So,
What kind of insights? Can you give me an example there?
sure. The people that you're looking to prospect with, you believe that they have the ability to influence or make the decision on purchasing your products and services.
Yeah.
Right? So you already believe that. So any information that they're sharing that pertains to your products or services, it's a way to reflect back to them that you are hearing what they're saying, and look to initiate an curiosity in further engagement with you. Now, a couple of things to always remember. I can't do business with you unless I'm aware of you. I won't do business with you unless I value what you have to offer over and above the competition, because we've all got
True.
competition for what we do.
Sure.
How do you start to differentiate? Well, how are you behaving? Is your behavior different? Because all things being equal, I would much prefer to do business with somebody who I know, like, and trust, and I don't feel sold to,
Yeah.
even if the price point might actually be a little bit more expensive than somebody who has the um, secondhand salesman,
Hmm.
always be closing, uh,
Yeah.
type type uh,
Very
type
true.
type type approach. You're increasing your value or perception of value in how you behave and how you communicate. And when you're talking about things that are interest to your audience, not things that you're interested in saying, and there's a difference.
Okay. Very good. I like those insights. That's really helpful. And what it makes me think of is just as if you were at a conference or as if you're at a networking event, you're just meeting people, talking to them, and
Mm,
talking about what matters to them. Like you said,
absolutely.
it's not about you. I really like that.
Right.
It's just basically an online version of having a conversation with somebody.
It is. It is. And it when we attend a networking event, we are left with impressions of people. And so we've turned
Mm.
up at the networking event, and we are there because we believe that influencers and decision makers are there. And we
Yeah.
tend to collect a whole bunch of business cards, right? If we
Yeah.
work in the crowd, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Now, there are three piles, get back to our hotel room. There's a pile of cards where I need to follow up with these people tomorrow or this week. There's a pile of cards that are people I can follow up with next month or next quarter. And then there's
Yeah.
another pile of cards where they probably won't leave the hotel room. I collected them to be polite, but there's nothing here for me.
Sure.
It's a similar approach when you are effectively offering your business card to somebody by extending an invitation request to them. The decision is being made, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. Am I adding to the quality of my network by the addition of Graham, yes or no?
Okay.
The very fact that that they've received a connection request from me, I've already determined that I would like to add them, because I certainly see value in them being in my network. But do they see value of me being in theirs?
Hmm.
Now, if I do decide to connect, of the 5 options that are available, I think it's worth visiting this. Of the 5 options available, only one is a good one. I've reached out to David, and David has said yes. That's the outcome that we're looking for.
Yeah.
The second option is that I send a connection request to David, simply ignores it. It just sits in your my network pending connection requests, and you don't do anything with it,
Yeah.
right? The third one is you choose to tell LinkedIn that you're ignoring me. You may even go as far as to not only tell LinkedIn you're ignoring me, but then to say, I don't know Graham. Which brings us to our fifth and the worst thing that could happen is you receive something from me and you report me, spam, or block me,
Oh boy.
right?
Naughty list.
On the naughty list. Now,
Yeah.
when I reach out to you and you don't accept, what LinkedIn is looking at is how many times have I done that, and am I being ignored? How many times are people that I'm reaching out to telling LinkedIn that I don't know Graham? How many times are people reporting me for spam or for blocking me? All of those are black marks against me. And that's why you lead to something called LinkedIn jail, where you'll receive basically a cease and desist, and you'll be reminded of the terms and conditions for operating a LinkedIn profile.
Oh man.
I know.
So what triggers that? A certain percentage, a certain number of complaints?
All of the above. What LinkedIn is looking to do, and its whole value proposition, is that we are creating a networking community of professionals. And the folks who hide in their privacy settings, they hide who they are. They don't have a profile photo. Jokingly, I say that if you don't have a profile photo and your settings are locked down, it's like attending a networking event with a bag on your head. It's true. People cannot see you. However, what are the chances that you're going to be successful in generating any new opportunities as a result of that sort of behavior?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Wow. Well, that's really good, man. That's really good. I want to move to the next part of our interview, which is the
Sure.
LinkedIn Insider's Big Four. So these are questions that really help dial into some specifics, especially with nowadays what's going on LinkedIn. So,
Mm.
how are you using LinkedIn right now on a daily basis?
I am not using LinkedIn as much as I should be. I haven't been busier than any other point in my life as I
Uh-huh.
am right now, helping clients with their content. And so when it comes to the cobbler's children or the worst shod, have running barefoot, I am absolutely guilty of that. However, what we are doing for our clients is making sure that they have a content strategy so that their profiles look great and they're engaging with their intended audience. And a content
Good.
strategy is a one-to-many message. So, as a subject matter expert, I'm speaking to the problems that my audience is facing. And then a campaign strategy where we reach out to specific individuals with a one-to-one message communication, because my content sharing speaks to my subject matter expertise and the perception that I'm a resource, and the individual message that I'm going to type out and share, that is personalized to the individual, because I'm looking to move the relationship forward and get it
Hmm.
out of the LinkedIn space and into the real world where we're emailing each other, we're speaking with each other, we're having video calls with each other.
Good. Good. How long did it take before LinkedIn really clicked with you and you started using it effectively for your business?
I'm still in that process.
It's always
I
changing, isn't it?
LinkedIn is also always changing, and what your audience is perceiving as value is also changing, and how people are engaging with the platform is changing. There's that famous Microsoft study that said that we have an attention span of 8 seconds, which is scientifically less than a goldfish.
Oh,
And that was back in 2015. And we know that attention spans aren't expanding, they're contracting.
yeah.
So the
Oh, man.
aha is we form some pretty strong opinions on people very, very quickly. And we don't have to take 8 seconds to make the decision, is somebody worth my time or not?
True.
And the idea then is that there's an art and science to crafting your content and your messaging commensurate with your audience.
Yeah. That's good.
Um, the art is in the crafting of the message. The science is, what is the data telling you as to how effective you're being? Is your content getting lots of likes? Are people commenting on it? Is the phone ringing? Right? All indicators. But first, you need people's attention. you need to earn the right to progress the relationship up to the point that now you've earned the right for somebody to have a call. And that's the difference. That's the transition point from marketing into sales. What LinkedIn is not is a sales order processing system and a shopping mechanism.
Yeah.
What it is a way to introduce your digital self to somebody else's digital self and have the two profiles engage in a meaningful way that you're willing to step out of the digital world and engage in real life.
That's really good. I like that. So, what's your favorite feature on LinkedIn?
The favorite feature. The fact that it allows you to have a profile photograph. Here's why. We tend to look at something before we ever read it. And, anybody who's gone through checkout at the grocery store, there's not a lot of narrative that are on the magazines as we go through checkout. They know that attention is really small. They've got a few seconds to make that impulse purchase. So there's lots of pictures and engagement that way with some attention grabbing headlines. So instead of a favorite feature, I would say it's a mixture of the profile photograph and the headline. Those are two key things. Those are my People magazine, whatever magazine of choice is. This is my ability to visually look like somebody that I'd have a conversation with, and B, put some context to it in the 220 characters I have for the title.
Okay.
Because if I'm not interested in that, what are the chances somebody's going to scroll all the way to the bottom to check out my recommendations?
Yeah. Very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
Good. So, where do you see LinkedIn going in the next couple of years?
I think LinkedIn's going to constantly battle with its need to sell sales licenses with Sales Navigator or even and talent solutions. That's how it's driving its revenues, is people subscribing to the service. Now, you're only going to be able to have control over your price point if people are easily able to get out of the tool what they signed up for in the first place. And so if
Exactly.
I'm not getting use or I'm not getting leads out of Sales Navigator, then what are the chances I'm going to sign up next year or renew? And so LinkedIn is always going to be going through this challenge of how can we allow people access, which goes back to why Microsoft paid $26 billion, versus not denigrate the service to the point where, hey, all it is just a spam machine and it's drifted away from why I signed up from LinkedIn in the first place.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. That's some really good insight. I want to see where that takes us.
There you go.
A few more questions. The growth questions. These are the fast four, and we'll go through these pretty quick.
Okay.
First of all, what does your morning routine look like?
I always check in, see what is in my inbox, see who's checked out my profile, and then I go on my research. I go and take a look at what's top of mind for the people who have taken the time to either endorse me, comment on something, or respond to one of my messages inside of my inbox.
Okay, good. What's your favorite tool or software for growth?
LinkedIn.com, followed by Sales Navigator.
Okay.
I don't believe that the other offerings for business development purposes, like a premium account, Sales Navigator is where it's at. So
Hmm.
that's my ad for or promotion of the paid service. All of the others, if you're in a business development role, you're not being serviced if you don't have a subscription to Sales Navigator. Used well, it can have fantastic results.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. What's one book or training that you think everyone listening should really take advantage of?
Use LinkedIn Help. It's the most underrated, underused tool that's in there. It amazes me that I'll speak to people who have had a LinkedIn presence for over 12 years and they're unaware of the functions and features that it actually has to offer or the information that it can provide.
Can you give me a couple examples?
Absolutely. A couple of things to know. How many times am I appearing in a search? Where do I get that information from? And how do I tell who's actually searching for me? Find that information out. It's in your profile, it's on your dashboard. If you're not being found or you're not appearing very much in a search, why on earth would you ever expect that you'll get a lot of views?
Yeah.
Which is the second thing. Understand who's viewing you and look at the correlation between your activity and the response that that activity drives in your views.
Okay.
Remember, I can't do business with you unless I'm aware of you. If somebody's not viewing you, then why would you expect then LinkedIn to yield opportunities for a conversation?
Oh, that's really good. What's one thing that makes your time as productive as possible?
Having a process. In order to build a predictable, robust sales pipeline, it's a mixture of technology, process, and people, the training, who's executing the technology. Have a process and become better at that process. It's no magic bullet. It's simply many little things done well consistently over time. And
Very
so
good.
that means then where do I start? Look at what others are doing well and be influenced by that as you conduct your own activity.
Oh, that's really good advice. Create a process and follow it consistently. Man, that makes all the difference in the world.
It does. It does. Random acts of social interaction um, would yield you the same results as random conversations inside of a in-person networking event. Have a mechanism, follow it, and improve it. Every month, ask yourself these three questions. What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? And what do I need to keep doing?
That's profound. That absolutely has changed my business. I think we talked
Excellent.
about that last time. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is
Delighted
really
to hear.
effective.
Good.
Very good. Those are some amazing insights. I really appreciate everything that you've gone into and giving
Thank you.
us, sharing with us your wisdom, because these are the steps that you can take to really make a huge impact on your business or your organization and
Absolutely.
really learn how to be effective on LinkedIn. So thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Really
You,
appreciate it. So
you,
where can people find you online?
socialbusinessstrategies.com is our website. But since we've been talking about LinkedIn, Graham Riley on LinkedIn, type in Graham Riley
The
and
one and
this
only.
this well oh there's several Graham Rileys but the one attached to social business strategies, um, that's where I can be found.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. It's been extremely knowledgeable. I think this is going to be a big hit. This is going to be really helpful for people. So thank you so much
Lovely.
for joining us. Uh,
You are welcome. I've enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. Wishing you and your business every success, mate.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, mate. Bye bye.
All right. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for joining us. All right. Are you still with me?